It was Bailey to the rescue for Mount Pleasant. Home is where the heart is for Dunbeholden, and Molynes might be in trouble. But we start one place and one place only, and that's at the Anthony Spalding Complex, where there's a little bit too much rumble in the jungle. This is Match Week 7 review show. Yes, people, welcome back to Jamaica Fan, and we are back at it again, this time to review Match Week 7. We have a lot of drama and a lot of action to get through, so let's get it started right away. As stated, we're going to start at the Anthony Spalding Complex, where Chapelton Maroons technically was playing at home against Waterhouse. In terms of the lineup, Prince Daniel Smith will continue in goal instead of William Vere and keep our eye on him. Gawain Austin shook off a knock last week to start in defence, and instead of thinking who will start between Ellis and Williams, Bigger Thompson decided to play both of them up top. I should also mention Nathaniel Howe was back in the midfield. Waterhouse, on the other hand, of course, had a game in midweek in St. Anne and saw the likes of Kimani Cam get a race start at left back, and Bygrave will once again be partnered by Martin Davis. So when the game kicked off, Chapelton settled a bit faster, but there were not real chances creating. Things were not moving at a slow pace, but in the 7th minute, the game kicked into high gear. From a lonely throw-in from Evans, the ball was able to find its way into the Waterhouse box, and LeVon Williams was on it and on the acute angle. Alfiers left with his shot, got past Kamara Foster and into the roof of the net. Out of nowhere, Chapelton was now leading. They could have doubled their lead moments later. Williams was in a goal again, but he fluffed his lines and the ball bubbled away for safety. It shouldn't be that surprising that Waterhouse was probably starting a bit slow since they played a tough game against Mount Pleasant Thursday, but eventually got into their usual groove and was now coming at the Maroons. Jamison and Jaime Brown team up here to open the gates of opportunity, but Howe came in and snuffed out any chance of a goal. Big save by the captain there. But after that, it was basically all Waterhouse as they pressed and tried to give an equalizer before the end of the first half. We had to wait till the second half to get more action really, and Waterhouse was now in full control and coming closer and closer. Very close here from Denard Thomas on the shot, and he would get another chance moments later when he was in behind the back line, but again a weak shot saw Prince Daniel Smith was able to snuff out his chance. Chapelton didn't really offer much in the opposite direction and was now on a rearguard action to keep out Waterhouse, and they came again, this time from Bygrave, who got a ball for swivel and turn, but again Daniel Smith come up huge and get the ball over the bar. At this point, Marcel Gale brought back last season star Javian Bryan to partner this season star Bygrave up front and have a little bit of change of tactics as they decide to swing the ball in early from the flanks. It was causing some trouble to the Maroons, but they were holding out, and that's until the 77th minute where everything in this game flipped upside down. From Kimani Campbell corner, the ball was swung in near post, and Javian Bryan was there to flick onto goal. But Prince Daniel Smith was positioned well, and he seemed to get his body behind the ball, but you see he lost his balance and into the net he goes with the ball. Of course, we don't have goal line technology, but the referee deemed that he passed the line, and then all hell broke loose afterwards. Of course, and naturally, Prince Daniel Smith was arguing the point that he did not cross the line, and they all gathered at the touchline to discuss it by the assistant referee, and that's when a fan decided to get involved and make this game ugly. Prince Daniel Smith, it don't look like he shoved Kimani Campbell into the fence, and it seemed that the Waterhouse faithful didn't take too kindly to that. He, of course, seemed to have what seems to be a bottle of Magnum. He flashed the contents of the bottle on Smith. Smith retaliated with the ball, and then the fan returned fire with a bottle. It caused Smith to go into rage, and he was looking to climb the fence to continue the fight. Of course, everything was at standstill at this point. It seemed this kid getting uglier and uglier as I enraged Smith has been held by his teammates and as well as the police in some moments, and Bigger Thompson was trying to understand what was the police doing in this matter. Look, we don't see these scenes as often we used to as in the past, but nonetheless it's still a black eye here on the football. We saw a bit of it in the playoffs last year, and I was hoping we never see it again. But this particular incident was far worse. If that bottle was on target, it could have caused real damage, and I felt the local police let down the ball here. In European football, once you come in close to the touchline, you have the stewards or the guards immediately come to that area just in case there's any fracas. And I felt that the police could have reacted a bit better or more swiftly once they saw Prince Daniel Smith at the touchline. It could have been really bad for the player, and I kind of understand his reaction because again, we are all human. But you could also understand why referee Anderson had to give him the second yellow card after his reaction and pushing the ref himself. So after a good lengthy stoppage, the game eventually gets on back into earnest, Waterhouse, of course, saw opportunity with 10-man Maroons to try to get a win out of this and went to press him for get the winner. Javier Bryan get another chance when the ball fell on his right foot for a volley, but he dragged it wide. And then Dorman got an absolute big chance towards the end of the game when he was in behind the lines, but obviously couldn't find a foot on it to get it past the keeper. So Maroons basically held out after that, and the game thankfully came to an end safely as the referee blew the whistle one more time and it ended 1-1. So it was a crazy game, but though we have crazy numbers in terms of stats, look at the stats right now. Chapelton only managed 4 total shots in entirety, and honestly most of those came in the first 20 minutes. Waterhouse on the other hand 9 total shots as they pressed to get the winner in the second half. Chapelton only had 1 shot on target, while Waterhouse had 3 on target, as Smith was the one that was the hero majority of the time. 7 corners to Waterhouse, and of course they scored from one of those, 1 corner for Chapelton Maroons. 6 yellow cards to Chapelton and 1 yellow card to Waterhouse, and of course a 1 red card to Chapelton keeper Prince Daniel Smith. So a crazy game that at times had some decent football, but was scarred by obviously the incident towards the end. Again, we don't really need these kind of scenes in our football. But anyway, for now, it finishes once more. Chapelton 1, Waterhouse 1. Okay, we move on to our second game, and far from the jungle, we move to the North Coast. Molynes was also quote-unquote playing at home to a humble Lion, but this time they were both on vacation at the Jackson Sports Complex. Molynes are of course in deep trouble after some string of defeats and need a win, but they will have to do it without their marksman captain Jason Wright, who was not even in the entire squad. Summer signing Marlon Pennicook got his chance to shine though, and he will be tasked with leading the line. While Molynes saw the return of Andrew Clennon back into the starting lineup, but number 9 Jeremy Christian also kept his place. Clear Clark was also in the starting lineup, so he was fully attacking, as Kemar Bushy Beckford was also there. But this will end up being a very interesting game, and not one Molynes fans would like to see again. They settled earlier on the ball than their opponents, but the first big chance came from the Lions. Clear Clark played a good ball in behind for Clennon, and with the keeper on rushing, he tried to lift it over the keeper but saw his shot go wide. But it was a warning shot for Molynes. From there though, it was all them. They came time and time again at the Lions, and if it wasn't for good defending and good keeping and poor finishing, they'd have 1 or 2 goals. Marlon Pennicook especially was the busiest of the strikers, and he himself just couldn't find a way through. Livingston tried his best as well, but they both find the palms of the humble Lion keeper. But Molynes kept pressing, and it seemed the goal was definitely coming, but this never ended up happening in the first half. Second half came about, I was more Molynes. The likes of Michael Graham was getting more involved, as they had at times allowed the humble Lion defense, but just couldn't get the ball past the line. Humble Lion, to their credit, showed a bit more fight in the second half and countered at numerous occasions, but even them as well couldn't take advantage. But just when you thought the game was ending to a 0-0, again the Humble Lion came down the left wing, and Captain O'Day Murray, who was of course used to this venue, was straight down the left wing and with the outside his right boot, played a beautiful ball in between the centre box and found Clennon, who was sliding in to get a poacher's goal past Robinson into the back of the net. Big goal for Coach Dookie and the Humble Lion, and he came at the practically end of the game in the 98th minute, and he basically killed any vibes from Molynes to try to get back into this one. The game basically ended not too long after that, and the Humble Lion picked up a big 3 points in a 6-pointer against a fellow struggling club in Molynes. Alright, just look at the stats for this one quickly, just to show Molynes' sheer dominance. They had 17 total shots compared to 11 from Humble Lion. Molynes managed 5 on target compared to 1 from Humble Lion. 9 corners to Molynes, 5 for Humble Lion, 3 yellow cards to Molynes, 2 to Humble Lion, and no red cards. Yeah, things are looking tough for Thomas and his men, and it's getting bleaker by the moment. We are used to Molynes not keeping clean sheets, but now the attack is faltering, as this is the second game in a row they're not even scoring a goal. While Dookie, the Humble Lion, should be a bit delighted. They were the second best team on the field for the majority of it, but they ended with a win nonetheless. So again, it ended Molynes 0, Humble Lion 1. Alright, so we're now going to move on to another struggling team that's out near the basement of the table, and that was Dunbeholden, as they were finally playing at home at the Dunbeholden Sports Complex against Harbour. With a team struggling, no surprise Dunbeholden made some decent changes. Guyanese striker Neron Barrow started up front at once more, and keep an eye on youngster Leon Campbell, who was playing on the left wing. Harbour, on the other hand, of course, kept Portmore in goal, but more interesting is that they start veteran Andre Fagan to play along across a trunk up front. When the game kicked off, Dunbeholden played as if they knew this was their big chance to get their first win, and they came out a little more aggressive than the Stars of the East. They were pressing from up the front and was trying to unnerve their opponents every chance they get. But it took a while for anything in the game to really materialize. I came in the 14th minute when the ball came down the left wing and Leo Campbell took his time to go at the Harbour defenders, cut inside. With some distance to go, he decided to pop the shot from there. But to his surprise and everybody else, it went in. Sure, it swerved a bit, but questions has to be made about the goalkeeper Portmore as what he was doing so far to his left for him to can't make it the distance on his right. That was definitely a goalkeeper's error, but you can't take the delight away from the Dunbeholden fans and Leo Campbell. To Harbour's credit, they kind of stepped up the tempo a bit after that to try to get something back. Andre Fagan's having a bit more influence on the game at this point, holding up the ball, and Akwasa Chung was now getting into the channels. But the best effort into the game actually fell to defender Talbot. The ball came from corner and float back in from the left hand side. Talbot was all alone in practically the 6-yard box and tried to side foot a volley, but side screwed wide. Big opportunity for Harbour missed right there. The Stars of East kept coming though. This time it was Andre Fagan's turn to get a shot on target, but he fluffed his lines as he sailed over the bar. But their lucky charm across the trunk now found himself into the box, but was brought down by a push from Richard Brown and the saw penalty given. It was a bit soft, but you had to take a closer look. Brown didn't play the ball at all and only managed to bundle over his man. Chung himself, of course, who have scored numerous goals from the penalty spot, stood up to take it, but he hit the ball straight to Romain Hamilton, who had to pop up once again to now deny his own defender in Brown for an unlikely own goal. So a good double save by Hamilton, who kept his place in the squad despite the return of Damon Hyatt. But that would be the end of Harbour's real chances. After that, it was all done by Olin. Leo Campbell's definitely causing more trouble on that left hand wing, and it wasn't for stern defending by the Stars of the East, they would have been at least 2 down. The first half came just like that, and Dunbeholden held onto the slim lead. Now, with the second half, Harbour made some changes and definitely was coming out the aggressor as they tried to get back into the game. They practically pinned down Dunbeholden for a good portion of that second half in their own half, but despite the possession, they didn't exactly crack any shot in anger. In fact, the only real shot on target in that second half came from Dunbeholden. One here where Portmore had to watch a curling shot around the corner. Then excellent work from Leo Campbell, who ran down a back pass to try and get in and one-on-one with Portmore. But that's all Dunbeholden would need in this game, as Harbour was toothless up front, and in the end they couldn't manage anything at all in that second half, and the game petered out into a 1-0 victory for the hosts. So okay, that's the game from my perspective, but how's it in terms of numbers? Dunbeholden had 11 total shots in the end compared to 14 from Harbour, but you will see in the second start hardly any was on target. 4 for Dunbeholden and only 1 of those 14 shots was on target for the Stars of the East. 5 corners for Dunbeholden, 10 for Harbour as they pressed in the second half, 4 yellow cards to Dunbeholden, I think that a bit chipping in the second half, and 2 for Harbour. No red cards, and that's how the game practically ended. So yeah, big win for Dunbeholden of the season, and it must feel even sweeter that it came in their first home match. With their next 2 games being at Dunbeholden, that might bode well for them going forward. While Harbour, their issue is going forward. Yes, they are much more competitive this season. Yes, their defensive structure is much better in place, but they definitely lack any cutting edge up front. They also have the same issues again in goal. While I would say Portmore's been a bit better than he did last season, he definitely was on fault for this goal. They have to make changes come January. Anyway, again the finishes, Dunbeholden 1, Harbour 0. So from a clash near the end of the table to the clash at top of the table, the big one that was supposed to be at place was happening catching all as Montego Bay United was hosting Portmore United. The big change by Sabata in the Montego Bay lineup is that Chanel Thomas was getting a rest, and up front would be the usual Owen Garden along with Brian Lee Brown. We should also mention Jordan Fletcher was back in the team and on the bench. While Portmore made one interesting change of their own, out was Ted Bryan, in was Stefan Barnett to partner Junior Grizel up top. But the host team started the game much better in the first half. They settled much quicker and were the more dangerous of the two. They came with Portmore time and time again, and while they looked mostly dangerous on set pieces, Portmore was doing all they could to basically just keep them out. Portmore did have their flashes and moments in that first half, but Mobe would have been the more disappointed that they entered the first half interval at 0-0. The second half came about and Portmore was a bit better on the counter and they tried their best to nick a victory where they can, but Moby's excellent defense would come in handy as stuff for any chances. Moby at the other half of the field now was not peppering Portmore as much as they can, but came up against an inspired defense led by Daniel Russell in goal and they couldn't get by. They got even one big chance towards the end where Owen Gardner would seem to be in on goal, but again his big chance was stopped by Daniel Russell. It was practically a man of the match performance by the goalkeeper and he was a massive influence on why the game basically ended at that point 0-0. So the game was pretty even. Will that reflect in the numbers? Here's the stats. Montego Bay United had 9 total shots in the end compared to 4 by Portmore, as this game was a battle mostly in midfield and under transition. 7 shots on target though by Montego Bay as they came up against a very inspired Daniel Russell in the goal. Portmore, as I said, on their counter only managed 1 shot on target. 1 corner to Montego Bay, 2 to Portmore, 2 yellow cards to Montego Bay, 1 to Portmore and no red cards. So yeah, the top of the table clash didn't get us the fireworks as we were hoping. Moby, of course, as I said to you in the preview, have definitely sorted out that defense, but their attack, while good at times, still slightly missing something, and maybe Jordan Fletcher is the man that will change that. While Portmore, after the game, Coach Austin admitted, came with the mindset that they will be a bit more pragmatic in their approach and probably got the desired result they were looking for. So he should be delighted, while Moby should be slightly disappointed that this all ended 0-0. Alright, so we're now heading back to the North Coast and into a big clash of their own as Mount Pleasant hosted Tivoli for their second home match of the season. The lineup, of course, saw some changes from their game against Waterhouse on Thursday, but Chambers was in goal again, Bailey kept his spot, Tevin Shaw was in midfield, and Shani James was given the role of the number 10. While Tivoli themselves also played in the midweek and saw some changes as well, in with the likes of Steve Clark and Tajay McBean for a rare start in the team. But when this game kicked off, honestly, it was all the men in blue going forward. Mount Pleasant were by far the most dangerous team on the park, and where they started this game, you were thinking it was going to be a drubbing on its way. But as I stated in the preview, Mount Pleasant were a little bit of annoyance and they just can't get that ball into the goal, and after numerous chances being spurned at every moment, especially by the likes of Bailey, you just figured that halftime score of 0-0 was going to stay. It was nothing to change much in the second half. It was the same Mount Pleasant on the front foot and the same way they were spurring their chances. It just seemed that it was going to be Tivoli's lucky day until they managed to play out the cardinal sin of accepting a goal from a set piece. An instant from the corner, so they are likely Kimoni Bailey reaching at the near post and getting into the back of the net to get Mount Pleasant a deserved 1-0 lead at this moment. They absolutely had chances to double it, but again they couldn't get it across the line, and despite their dominance in possession and shots, a 1-0 lead is always dangerous, of course, and Tivoli in the last 10 minutes basically walked up. A good chance here by Justin Dunn at the end stung the palms of Chambers before a set piece of their very own found Price at the back post, and he should have done better honestly to get the equalizer. But in the end, Mount Pleasant could have signed a sign of relief as the final whistle was finally blown, and Mount Pleasant, in a way, basically escaped with a 1-0 win. Alright, let's look at the stats for a very dominant Mount Pleasant team here. They had a whopping 20 total shots in all compared to 5 from Tivoli Guns. I stated again, Mount Pleasant is very poor at converting those total shots into goals, as they only managed 7 shots on target from those 20, and yet they still only managed 1 goal. Tivoli only had 1 shot on target that came from Justin Dunn. 7 corners for Mount Pleasant, and lucky for them, they managed to score from 1 of those, and 2 corners from Tivoli. And all 4 yellow cards in the game went to the men from West Kingston. After the game, Tapa was happy with the victory, but even he admitted that Mount Pleasant can play way better than this. Again, they're not playing badly, the build-up looks good, but the finishing, man, they just need work there. By Tivoli, on the other hand, well, they were basically outclassed for majority of the game, but you have to give them credit, they hanged around and almost got an equalizer at the death. But they need more than this if they want to repeat the position they did last year and finishing 4th in the table. Anyway, the final result from Draxall, Mount Pleasant 1, Tivoli Gardens 0. To our final game, and one that was many expecting to be one of the better showcase on the Monday night, as both these teams are technically good on the ball. It was Racing United playing host to Vere Phoenix United at the Anthony Spalding Complex. The big change in the Racing lineup saw Ronaldo Big started on the bench. Javon Cole was now the one that was tasked of getting the goals. While Vere Phoenix United saw a host of changes as Molynes going to play their Money Cup on the following day, but the likes of Michael Forbes, Kyle Butler and Alex Gale kept their spot in that starting lineup. So when this game kicked off and those who were purists expected to see some nice football, what we ended up getting was a bit of a scrappy affair. Credit to Racing, they did try to play the ball on the carpet in the beginning, but they were off put by the Vere press. So the game scrapped along until a goal came out of nowhere. From a Wooling corner, the ball was fleeing near the near post and Siobhan Reid rose to meet it, but instead he flipped the ball past his own goalkeeper and into the back of his own net. 1-0 to Vere, and as I said, it came out of nowhere. But they did get a big chance to double that lead. Mistakes in the back line by Racing saw the ball kindly fall to Kyle Butler at the top of the box with an empty net. He surprisingly kicked the ball wide. Big chance for the coach's son to open his account for the season. After that, Racing settled somewhat and was now coming in the other direction. Honestly, didn't muster much, and the first half basically came just like that. A 1-0 lead for Vere Phoenix United. Anthony Patrick, though, have to get some credit. He made a change. Talisman Ronaldo Biggs came in on the left wing and replaced the goal, and simplified their tactics to look long for him on the left wing. It immediately almost paid dividends as the ball was floated to that left side, and a mix-up in the Vere defense saw Ronaldo Biggs all alone coming into the box, but all he needed was a little more composure as he came in and put the ball on his right foot and blasted over the bar. He had two teammates basically there begging him to pass it, and it was a big chance miss. But as basically signs of things to come, it was all Racing for majority of the second half. They came again on that left wing. This time Blacks played a good ball from left back into the box, found Murray on the back post, who only managed to hit the post before he went out to safety. Racing was knocking on the door and you expect the goal to come, but it was just sheer quality when it finally happened. This young man, Nikai Ellis, is definitely a talent in that midfield, and after some neat touches, he's able to float a delightful ball over the top again for Ronaldo Biggs, who this time only had the defender and the keeper to beat, but he was calm as a Sunday morning and he was able to place the ball past Adair and into the back of the net. A deserved equalizer for Racing, and Ronaldo Biggs rewarding his coach for the massive impact instantly. Vere was on the back foot at this point, and their task got even harder when he went and picked up a second yellow card for a needless drag back of the Racing player and was sentenced out of the game. But credit to them, they defended as much as they can to keep into the game, and into the last final moments of the match, they were able to release Thomas, who had a knack of scoring late goals, but he couldn't get past Holmes in the Racing goal. They almost stole it, but in the end the final whistle came and Racing couldn't manage to find the winner and ended 1-1. So a scrappy game, but how was it in terms of the numbers? Racing only had 7 total shots in the entire game, and by my count, 6 of those basically came in the second half. Vere though had 10 total shots in the end. Racing managed to have 3 shots on target, while Vere actually picked them there and had 4 shots on target. Racing had 5 corners compared to 3 from Vere, 1 yellow card to Racing and 6 yellow cards to Vere, as their pressing game was definitely drawing fouls. And of course, they're the only team that managed to have a red card. Yes, in the end, a slightly disappointing match as a neutral, honestly, as both teams were known to play good football on the carpet. We didn't see much of that here. Vere pressing game definitely threw Racing for the majority of it, but Biggs made an instant impact when he came in the second half, and as a neutral, you'd have hoped he started from the get-go. In the end, the result of 1-1 was a fair result. Okay, that's all the games. I'll look at the table real quick. Montego Bay remain in the number 1 position with 14 points, but they are now joined on 14 points by second place Waterhouse. Portmore remain in 3rd after taking a point from Mobay. Mount Pleasant are now cozy in 4th with 12 points. Idle Cavalier remain in 5th with 11 points, and Arnett run out the top 6 with 8 points as Vere failed to overtake them. The bottom 4 though saw Molynes getting further and further away from it, and Tivoli is now in the 11th spot with 5 points. Racing in 12th with 5 points and in a free fall. Molynes in deep trouble in 13th with 4 points, and Dunbeholden should feeling better despite being at the bottom of the table with 3 points from their first win of the season. Anyway, as promised from the previous show, I'm going to match my predictions. I predicted a Molynes winning 1-0, and that's what happened. I also predicted Mount Pleasant coming by with a 1-0 win over Tivoli, so I'm looking like a genius here. But Dunbeholden messed things up for me as they reversed my prediction here with a 1-0 win of their own. I had Waterhouse winning 2-1 over Chapelton, but Waterhouse did not find that second one in real life and it ended 1-1. I also saw Vere winning this one 2-1 over Racing, and Thomas almost made it happen, but it ended 1-1 of course. And I correctly predicted a draw between Mobay and Portmore, but I expected goals in that game. So overall, I didn't do too badly in that one. Anyway guys, that's all from us here on this review show. Thanks again for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you up to date on all things in the JPL leading up to the final in May. Once again YouTube, big up yourself.